Hello, welcome to this Channel 9 clip. My name is Richard Godfrey. I work as an architect in Microsoft's Developer and Platform Evangelism team. And I'm here today to take you to a company that I've been working with for a little while, who are using WPF in an interesting way. So please join me and we'll have a wander in. So the company is Armadillo Systems, and based out of London. And in fact we're in their London offices at the moment. So let's take it in there and we'll meet their MD. So welcome to Armadillo's offices. This is Michael Stocking. Hi Mike.
Hi Richard.
So can't see you much there in terms of light. Let's come out this way. So wanted to just have a chat really in this Channel 9 video around just the process that you guys have been going through for building an application around WPF.
Yep.
And you went through a lot of decisions in coming up with the way that you tackled it.
Yeah. The early stages were difficult, as you know, because it's what we're trying to do is build a complex 3D application for Vista. And we had some existing assets in Lightwave, so what we had to do was work out what the pipeline was going to be from Lightwave through to XAML. And there was, back in February I guess it was, we had 3 or 4 different options. So one of the options was to ditch Lightwave completely and then export all our models to Blender, for example, because I think Dan Lambauer had written a Blender plugin. So we could export Blender into XAML. We'd see some demos, we knew that worked. But the job there would have been to port from Lightwave to Blender, so that would have been a problem. Somebody had written a plugin for 3D Studio Max, so we could have gone that route as well. We could have ported from Lightwave to 3ds and used the plugin to export XAML. I think we tested that around January, February time, and it was a little bit buggy with it must have been February, the FevCTP, I think it was buggy with. So that kind of path closed down. We looked at E-Rain, we looked at XAM3D and thought maybe we could use that as a tool to generate. But the models we were using were high poly count, pretty sophisticated, and we were doing morphing as well. So we needed to change the shape of the model through dynamically. So XAM3D was the great tool. We thought that probably wouldn't have done for our core development. So that wasn't a path. So we looked at these pipelines and thought none of them really got us from Lightwave straight through to XAML for our application. So, kind of unbeknownst to me, Alex cooked up a converter. It was over the weekend, Alex, you started working on that one weekend came in on Monday and said, I've had this plan, and cooked up this thing. So that became a path to actually get a regular Lightwave converter that natively from Lightwave spits out XAML. Right. So we bypassed the 3 pipelines we looked at and thought, okay, we wrote our own, and said, let's get the Lightwave directly into XAML. And then what we've been doing since then is refining it and adding animation to it and building specularity in so it can do all the kind of things we want to do. So what it's given us is a great production pathway.
That's excellent. So I mean, do you see this as being pretty core to what you guys are just doing, or do you see this more general approach that people will have to take for building this kind of app?
Well, it's kind of grown. We started it just for us and thinking, we have this one simple task. We have a bunch of Lightwave models. We need to get them into XAML. That's all we need to do. We don't need to do anything else. We only need to resolve that problem. But what we've done is we've kind of ended up building a tool that allows generic Lightwave models to be exported as XAML. And what we've been doing is throwing different kind of models at it, see how it responds. Whether we need to drop poly counts to get them to work, and so on. So what we've ended up with, I think, is a tool that other people can use. And I think what we're trying to do now is make it more widely available so people can actually use it for any project they may have in Lightwave. So if you've got years and years of legacy Lightwave modeling you've been doing that's sitting around and you're thinking, well, what does Vista give me? Here's an answer. Port it to XAML, put it into Vista environment, and dream your dreams.
Excellent. Well, let's have a wander over. We'll have a chat with Mark and see about the 3D piece, and maybe see in a minute.
Yeah, see you later.
Okay, let's have a scroll across. So Mark Hensley Barrett over here, 3D man extraordinaire. Is that fair to say?
It's nice to say, certainly.
Sitting in front of his big, nice 30-inch Dell screen there. So obviously a good job to have if you can get it. But so Mark, in terms of mentioned Lightwave as a product and stuff, and 3D stuff. So a bit of background on yourself. 3D. How did you get into it, and what's all that about?
Well, I kind of came in the side road with 3D because I had been studying physics with computer science at Brunel University. Unfortunately for that, I saw an episode of a science fiction program called Babylon 5 and realized that people were actually getting paid, real money, to use their home machines and Lightwave to build spaceships and actually make them fight. And the other alternative was going back to studying ballistics and the Gaussian properties between dielectric planes, which just wasn't anywhere near as interesting.
So I can buy that. So you got into 3D, and I presume you used a fair number of tools in playing. How do you end up on Lightwave?
Well, there was a fairly spread field at the time. There was Softimage available, there was Maya available, both of which were the price of a Bentley or a Lamborghini at the time. Whereas Lightwave, as well as being really inexpensive, is also incredibly powerful. It's one of the most full-featured 3D tool sets on the market. There's very little you can't ask it to do.
Right.
And this has just stayed the case over the years. It's the most all-round and studio-ready package I've come across.
Right. And reasonable cost for general use?
Yeah. At the moment it's something like 500 quid. People spend more money on their first car.
Right. Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun. Show us a model that you're working on, and
Alrighty.
so we can swing this around and we can get some.
I'm
There you
sat
go.
here playing with the human heart, as you can see, cheerfully noodling with that in all axes. And today I'm going to be using the Shaxam web converter to just translate that into XAML. It's going to take slightly longer than if I was using the built-in Lightwave plugin, because obviously it has to upload the file to the server and then do its mathsy convertery thing on it and then save it back out. But it's available to everybody. You don't actually need a copy of Lightwave to convert objects using the web converter. You don't actually have to install a plugin or anything like that. There's a plugin version available, which is just a one-click output. But as you can see,
Okay.
that's a 1 meg file. It's not exactly painful. Just save that out. Replace the one I made earlier.
Okay.
So, Lightwave styling, WPF styling.
Okay. So this is a WPF application using that XAML in that window, and then we've got an application surrounding that which lets you just rotate around and use it.
As you can see, there's not an awful lot in it.
Looks pretty good. So
Very faithful conversion.
excellent. One of the things I know you had in the Lightwave one was a set of animations and essentially morph targets that you can move between in the application.
That's
so
correct. If I just hit my play button here, you can see that heart is beating away in a slightly frenzied manner. But all these squelches and squidges are set up using morph targets, which is just offset points held in the same object. And that's all converted with, through the converter as well. All that motion data is carried across, so you can incorporate it in your application. It doesn't have to obviously be a heartbeat.
right.
It can be deforming text, it can be altering the shape of the window. It could even be something more complicated like lip sync, for example, that sort of thing. All that motion data is carried across.
Okay. So what are the sorts of things, if you can sort of list some of the things out that are part of the model that get extrapolated?
Well, obviously the base geometry is carried across, because otherwise there wouldn't be anything to look at.
Yeah.
The vertex offset data, which we loosely call morphs, are all carried across. The color texture data, as you can see, is carried across.
Okay.
Transparency is also carried across, as a certain amount of the object's shininess. There are more things we would like to add in the future, though. So
Right.
we will get
Excellent. Well, we're going to have a chat with Alex, and we'll come up with some of the things that are going to happen with this. But thanks for that in terms of the 3D side for the moment. So, I mean, just before I move on, in terms of the impact that you think this is going to have in terms of general use of this kind of applications, or even more business applications than just some of the scientific stuff that we're seeing here.
It's going to be major. It's going to be really major. There hasn't been this level of creative freedom in any interface design before. Suddenly people are going to be able to, instead of just having a pie chart laid out, going to be able to have the whole 3D realm to play in, both in terms of any kind of content creation as well as interface design. So it's going to be a completely new playing field. It's going to be a really exciting time for designers, content creators, UX artists, the whole bit.
Yeah, you might even get to do some sci-fi stuff in it.
Here's hoping.
You never know. Okay, thanks. Excellent. So let's have a wander over to Alex. So Alex is the mastermind behind Shaxam as an application. So you've done the conversion stuff, Alex. Conversion from Lightwave models to XAML.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you're probably pretty new to XAML and stuff in general, yeah?
Yes. My background is not. Let's just say it's not exactly Microsoft centered. I've come from very much an open source ecosystem. I mean, I originally got into developing from an electronic engineering degree. Out of that, into BMW, did various bits and pieces, and always in the background I was doing sort of web application development, a few bits of 3D here and there, but nothing sort of special. Naturally, in all this, a lot of XML cropping up all over the place. A few sort of little languages here and there to learn to help deal with masses of data. And yeah, playing with XAML, it's very clean. I do like it. It's a nice little format to work with. The fact that it's XML means that it's you've got a huge array of tools to play with, yeah, it's wonderfully expressive, and despite the fact that there's no, as far as I can tell, there's no one strict XAML format. It's flexible enough that doesn't really matter that much.
Right.
Yeah, so sort of one day we were just sort of sitting in here talking about a couple of projects, and Mark turned around and said, do you think this is possible? Do you think we can turn Lightwave objects into XAML? And I sort of sat back and thought for a second, well, we've got 3D mesh data in one, 3D mesh data in the other, just a matter of making, putting two and two together. And yeah, went away, came back with a prototype, and here we are, essentially.
So Michael said that you knocked it up in a weekend and threw some stuff together earlier. So I mean, clearly there's a bit more than a weekend's work in pulling this. But how long has it really taken, and what were some of the headaches and things you learned as part of it?
Well, the original prototype to get a basic mesh to prove that the idea worked. That was pretty much a weekend. To get morph data across, to get a few little bits of texturing, that was a little bit longer. I mean, it's difficult to say exactly how long it's taken because it's been a few hours here and there, that sort of thing. The web converter, I mean, that's all written in Ruby, which is just a fantastically expressive language. It really cuts development time to be using that. Yeah, like I said, I can't guess how long that's taken. But since we moved on to the actual plugin, a Lightwave plugin, just literally one click out pops your XAML. That's all done in C. That's all classic development. That's probably taken about a couple of weeks development time, right. I think, all told, if I put it all together.
Okay, so I mean, it looks like it's hanging together pretty well already. So you've already got the base geometries and morphs and the like coming in, animation across that, cameras, some degree of perhaps lighting. So what's in it that you think we probably haven't touched on yet, and what's still there to come across?
I want to be a lot cleverer with textures. At the moment, we've got basic color data. We've got I know how I'm going to do specular data and that sort of thing. But Lightwave has a fantastically complete way of describing surfaces, and anything I can bring across from that is it's a big win. It's just a matter of being a little bit ingenious with it, really. Other than that, again, a little bit cleverer with animation. We want to do proper keyframe interpolation. At the moment, we've got static positions for morph targets, that sort of thing. And going between them it's not exactly involved, but it's not too clever either. I know there's some facilities in XAML to make that prettier, make that closer to what we're able to achieve in Lightwave.
Right.
And it's just a matter of cherry picking the bits to the best.
So there's some things which I guess are perhaps not in XAML directly, as in terms of full 3D environment that perhaps some of these other professional tools have been using for a while, and as a runtime environment, this doesn't make sense for the kind of applications that XAML are going to be useful.
This is the thing about it. Lightwave has come at it from being a full studio grade. You can make anything in Lightwave, whereas XAML is very much targeted to getting stuff on the desktop that's usable and practical very quickly.
Right.
And there's an overlap, but to say that either one is better or worse is just missing the point.
So what are some of the things that you think would be nice if they were in XAML? I think we've talked a bit in the past about things like bump maps and
Well, yeah, I mean, bump maps would be fantastic. There's a few little bits and pieces that have caused me, not grief exactly, but they've made me go away and think for a bit. In the way that Lightwave, for example, has surfaces per polygon, textures per polygon, whereas XAML it's per geometry. Crossing that sort of divide, it's more legwork for me. So it'd be nice if XAML supported it directly, but I can understand why the difference is there.
Right. Well, quite often there's workarounds that you can
exactly.
make.
Most of the time, you can just be a bit clever.
Right.
Just be a bit clever and you can do it.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks for that, Alex. And so we're just going to head back to over to Steve here. So Steve is been putting the WPF side of the application together. Hi, Steve.
That's it. Hello.
Hi. So in terms of you're kind of the last man in the chain, if you like, for this. We've got 3D model. We've got it converted into XAML, and then you're pulling together the applications there.
Yep.
So I guess you've not been using Microsoft technologies for that long.
No, only sort of really 2 to 3 months now.
Right.
Yeah.
So first impressions in that sort of 2 to 3 months of WPF and the whole.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Was able to pick it up from my kind of background before, which wasn't really Microsoft orientated, and yeah, pleased with the results and kind of ease of use.
Excellent. So in terms of just pulling the XAML through, I mean, when you get that XAML file, what have you really been doing with it, and how does it sort of fit together?
Well, we've been using that in the applications we've been doing, also for things like user interface elements as well. So it makes life very easy, not having to remodel really any of that at all. Just having a direct pipeline from Lightwave straight into the application, and it can be dropped in and used as a resource dictionary,
right.
And then I can just pull out things I need very easily.
Excellent. Okay, thanks for that. I'm going to drag quick back, Mark. You still got the image on the screen there?
Yeah, I've got everything right here.
I've just got to share it again. So, 30-inch Dell screen, fantastic resolution, and Lightwave models straight into XAML. So thanks for your time, guys, and hopefully see this up on Channel 9. Cheers.
Thanks very much.